Hello everybody, welcome back to From Rhythm to Algorithm, trying to find our axiomatic definition of sensorality, no real introduction, picking up right where we left off. Does it even make sense to say base has a plural? Right, we're talking about all of our linguistics, all of our language has to relate directly back to physical processes, because that's where it emerged from. Literally the inefficiency of movement creates sound. That's why I can vibrate my vocal cords and you can understand what I'm saying, because language is consistent. These sounds represent these actions. And if it's in this consistency, it's English, it's the English language, or it's the French language, or it's the Russian language, or so on and so forth. The sounds are stabilized, the sounds are unique. We put them in a certain order, and to make that consistent, you develop languages. And so, does it even make sense to say base is plural? Right? We're talking about base, B-A-S-E, versus basis versus B-A-S-E-S. Right? So is that a verb form, or is that plural of basis? And it has to be basis like vibration, basis rhythm. And so it's because there is no plurality for a single basis. So base and basis are to singularity, and the physical basis is vibration. So there's what we've kind of proven is there's no plurality to a base, to a single basis. It's one, physically. And so that's just kind of true there. But here's a fun one. Busy is the opposite of lazy. Right? If you're always busy, you're always getting work done, you're not lazy. True or false? So lazy is to laziness what busy is to busyness. Now spell it. Didn't you just spell business? And so again, this, for whatever reason, is very clear in speciality. Iterating the letter I, the vowel I, out of a word was very useful. Again, I could literally look up the definition. It's in my email, and I just don't do so because it's not useful. It's old. That stuff's proven. There's no need to look at stuff. Once something is proven, you literally never have to think about it again. But you just spelled busyness. You just spelled business. And so business is busyness. What to make of it, I don't know. But what's the base of business? Sign, right? So now we've connected senility, sign, serality to business. And the base of business is literally sign. So something's going on there. Again, pointing out the empirical facts about language, deriving a physical relationship, stuffing all the logic together. Assistance is the opposite of resistance. Just another, again, I typically don't point out just if it's a simple theorem, if I can't provide any logic or insight past the theorem, I don't write them down. Again, if you're just watching these videos, I have a derivation book where just literally a notebook where I just write down these theorems, and I mail those to MSRI at Berkeley. But I don't typically, but assistance is the opposite of resistance. So anytime I have a dichotomistic pair, two words that are related, that it's not clear as to why they're related or is interesting, such as humor and humorality, and morality, humor and morality are related, stuff like that. Word order, that's based on the same thing. We went over that one last time. But I don't point out the ones where it's very clear that they're related and the logic is very similar, so it's not that insightful to say anything more. How about this, right? So again, we have to connect. We've been talking about a lot about slang, connecting slang, just the aspects of language. Slang is obviously a big one of them. What exactly is it? It's just like, if I said, how are you? And I said, it do be good, right? It's not correct grammatically, but you can tell that I have enough mastery of the English language where I'm doing that intentionally, messing up the grammar to sound different. And so slang, both on a given term, such as riz or aura, or vibe, or anything else really. What makes something slang versus fundamentally ontological? I think it's just purposely messing up syllability, but just a question to pose. But how about this? The internet is the World Wide Web. Can anybody say that's not true? So again, there's a lot of, we talk about operative words, the words that really change the meaning or impact the logic, as opposed to, right, the internet that establishes the subject is the verb, but the definite article is kind of, there are limits, right? The is the limit, a is a limit, an is a limit. But they just have the filler words, so now we can just drop that out. Like worldwide, we can just say the internet is the World Wide Web. The a net is a web. True, and it's just completely true. And so it's a new definition, but you see there is the slang. You're really just putting fluff. You're just putting insulation around the operative words. But so you just say the internet is the World Wide Web. Nobody can debate that, and then you just reduce it down to a net is a web, or a web is a net. And so a web is a sensor, right? It literally is. If a fly goes through a spider web and gets caught, it was too big and it hit the web, the netting, the webbing, and it got caught. And so webs literally censor what goes through them, and that's fundamentally what a sensor is. A mirror is a sensor. Any sort of polarization, your polarized lenses on your sunglasses, those are sensors. How about this? Quality and equality. Right now we have speciality and especially, right, to some functionality, whether it's it's the fifth element of the English alphabet. It represents the sound E in the English language. But if we put this letter E in English, it does, again, English is literally E-N. So this, like, enforce is with an E-N. Enact is an E-N. And so, like, what is this E? What is this E-N doing? Are we stealing a bunch of stuff from France land? What's going on? But you have quality and equality, right? What's the quality of something? The quality is the essence. We've talked about that last time. Again, we're relating quality to essence, sense, sensorality. And then equality is identity. This is that. And we have this added nuance that nothing is exactly identical to anything else. And to map that difference, we have the dynamic limit. And when you introduce the verb is, you're equating something with an equal sign. And so, what is equality is identity. Equality is definite. Quality is indefinite. What is the essence of science? And so now, again, see what we just showed you with the internet is a World Wide Web. Right, where we're just forming these sentences where we're asking a question, and we're just going to literally reduce the letters down to get a declarative statement that is undeniably true. So again, like I said, we're spiraling. We're in the axiom spiral big time. And so it's gonna take one word to lock into place, and this whole thing's done. And then you guys have to deal with the fact that there's the unification and the axiomatization, or axiomatization. I don't even know how to use that proper word in its word form correctly. But then you guys are fucked. And you're already fucked, but you guys don't care. You're not human beings. You don't have any morals. You just treat another human being terribly. Me. Like, why am I still suffering? I've offered $500,000, every penny I've ever made, to have constitutional rights today. To have a nice, just not have to worry about money today. And nobody has done anything to help me. It's disgusting. There's never been a more profound failure of human beings than the people watching this video right now today. But I'm just going to stuff this theorem down your throat, and you guys are going to be fucked for history. And you'll be nothing besides a laughingstock and straight up saboteurs of the educational system, of a species, of a planet. And there's nothing you can say or do. This proof will be speechless. There will be nothing left for you to say. And you're too much of pussies to take responsibility for your actions. As always, I'm the adult in the room who's sitting around a bunch of screaming kids. They're just privileged. But the essence of science, it's questioning, right? Questioning is the zeroing, is the rooting, is finding the intersections. Right? So when you're asking a question and a little kid asks why, and you run out of things to do, that's because the base is limited. The base is finite. There's one physical base vibration, and then there's stability of 2 is the last relevant interacting dynamic through E equals MC squared. And so questioning is really, again, how does that stability of 2 function when you're trying to root logically, when you're getting to the base word or the base core idea of your argument or your presentation or your thesis or whatever thing you're trying to present logically. Ong is the logical opposite of ing, right? We talked about how ing is the fundamental syllable and it represents vibration. Vibrating, ing is literally onomatopoeia, but it's the wrong way. You started with things that are vibrating, then you put structure around that syllability to form meaning, to preserve meaning. That's how you understand me right now. But right, if you have ding, someone says ding, ding, ding on a game show, You associate that to winning, to something positive. Yes or no? Yes. But if you hear something go or a buzzer, you equate that to being wrong or incorrect. Yes or no? Yes. And so, right, but you have ding, ding dong, right? Ding dong, like a doorbell. And so it's not even like getting good or bad, right or wrong. It's just the physical opposite, right? If you have something that's white or black, it's like a color or shade. White and black aren't colors, but you get what I'm saying. It's a physical opposite, so to speak. And then, right, because you have ding dong, but you also have the word wrong, right? So if you have ding ding ding, you're right, but if you hear wrong, ong, you're incorrect. And so it's literally built on like the negatively connotated things have the syllable ong, maybe. But it is, right now we've identified, again, I've already done these things, but I'm trying to keep it like I haven't done it, like I redo it to arrive it for the first time. But, like I said, the process. Speciality was the first time I articulated the process. First time I did it was just intuitively, which is still complete, but you see how much logic and time goes into it. What is zigzag? Just another thing. A physical, what a zigzag, a pattern, it's like a discrete, it's like a step function. You can't take a derivative it has to be smooth and continuous to have a derivative. A zigzag is not continuous. I don't know, something just popped up. There's something going on there. Pouring is aerating. So remember saying pouring is holy. We went through that derivation, just meaning pores are holes, which is true. But aerationality is holy. Right? If you aerate your lawn, you put a hole in it so the ground can breathe. But aerationality is sensorality. And so why is it that? I don't know, it just is. Moving on. Vibrationality liberates. Right? Vibrationality causes movement. I don't know if that's incomplete yet, but it does, right? You have the vibration setting on your phone, and if you put enough current through your phone for that vibration, it's going to physically move. No other explanation needed, physical proof. But can you have movement that isn't based on vibration? I would say yes. Like I could, if I just walk forward, am I vibrating to the movement? No. So is that a complete definition of movement? I don't think so. But vibration certainly bases movement in the sense that if you have a strong enough vibration, you will physically move. You'll do work, you will change your physical location. You will have a cycle that is not complete. Cycles by definition are complete, but you'll have a cycle that does work. And then again, some sort of consideration of what is a cycle within the system and outside of a system. That's the whole concept of reference frames from Einstein. But again, I've already solved this. I'm not going to try to. I literally derive in all aspects of ontology. So it's like, it's not even like, I won't even use the analogy of like riding a bike. It's just like, I do so many things that my own derivation kind of feels foreign to me. And then but I haven't like lost it. It's still there. I just have to like regenerate it, I guess. But I rederive all of these things from first principle every time. It's not like I'm sitting around here like memorizing a bunch of shit. But then we have the concept of cause and effect, right? Vibration is the cause, movement is the effect. But it's not convincing to myself, right, immediately that is a complete categorization of movement. Directly, you can have movement that isn't directly caused by vibration. Don't know what to make of that, but it was intuitive and it's true as far as I've progressed that logic. Chronology proves cause and effect, right? We proved the existence of chronology. Something happens. I'm giving you this lecture, but these thoughts came to me in a certain order and I wrote them down, and now I'm trying to refine them. And so, right, you reiterate, you iterate, you refine, you keep going and going, because all of these things just come to you really, really fast, and this is for everybody, and then you just have to put it together to make it more coherent. You have to edit down, you have to censor your own language. But is establishes existence. We talked about the functionality of that verb, but vibration is, right? That's a complete sentence. So that's complete. Vibration is a noun and a verb. And so vibration is not movement, right? We made that very clear that vibration is a cycle that doesn't do work. A rhythm is a cycle that does do work. And so like vibration is not movement, but vibration causes movement. Now I'll put that qualifier in there, vibration can cause movement, which is true. Again, that's fundamentally proven by your cell phone. But does it cause movement entirely? Is it a complete description of the causation of movement? I don't think so. Natural definition, right? What is fluency? Fluency is influential. Literally look at the word influential. So we have an identification of another natural definition. And so, right, you ask anybody right now, what is fluency? They would have to, again, because the word family, all of the different words that would base off of fluency would have to be included. And so we can just start with the evidence. Existence is our starting point. Influential literally spells out the word fluent. So fluency, for all intents, I don't know what the phrase is, intended purposes, intents and purposes, sounds logically the most likely, but fluency is influential. And now we can expand that, see how that's a negative definition. In typically negates existence. So fluency is influential. No, influentiality is impactful. Influentiality matters. And so we'll just keep connecting these logical pieces. Now we have another big connection here, right? What is a personality? Well, what makes you you? It's individuality. But look at the word. Again, we just keep going back to we've built enough intuition now where we can just prove things by the immediate existence of word. And so personality is personality, right? We just throw in a space and it changes the logic. Per meaning by, sonality, right? I told you sorality, sonality. And so now we have a clear word that everyone knows what it is in a profoundly empirical way that's based on sonality, which is directly related to sorality, right? That R bridging over to the N. So remember, I'm doing this to the geometry of the letters themselves. But personality is based on sonality, and sonality is related to sorality with a little extra curve on the end of an R. And we'll finish up today with a fundamental dichotomistic pair, complaint and compliant, right? We just literally flip that A and the I. And so now we can ask the question, right, because it clearly changes the syllability. Complaint, 2 syllables, compliant, 3. So we just, same amount of letters, same exact letters, same number of letters, same elements, just in different order. And now we get another syllable, right? And so now we can ask the question, when do 2 consecutive vowels form a diphthong, and when do they not? They produce a new syllable, such as compliant versus complaint. So there'll be a direct, someone at Harvard can win a Fields Medal for that. Go have it. I just want to have time with my family and a fucking meal on my plate, but I don't deserve anything. If I've learned anything in this world, it's I'm a slave. I have to work for free, and everybody else just gets to play games and give each other more awards. But when do 2 vowels form a diphthong, and when do they form different syllables? Very poignant. It obviously applies to all languages immediately. But again, another 4 or 5 proofs in a nice little 20-minute segment. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.